trees, your yellow leaves move me. Dancing moves your painted red, it shakes the room. When I get there, I'll let my feet roll. When I get there, I'll break in your arms, I'll lose control. When I get there, I'll know the answer. Let me know when I get closer. Winterland, you're my sailing ship. Guide me when you head for your trip. Right out of this wicked black and into bright sand.
Hey everybody, happy Monday. This is Overpass Live. My name's Eric and I make apps. This is the weekly live stream where we have a chat about whatever we want to talk about. And there's been a lot of news going on in the last week. First of all, I've been kind of obsessed with iOS 15. So there's a announcement, I don't know, for those of you guys who are Apple developers, you probably got the email this past week. I know I've got it. All my clients have got it because they've all got their developer account set up. But tomorrow afternoon, I think it is join us for a special announcement. So it's expected where iPhone is going to announce all their new iPhones, iPhone 13 and all that kind of stuff. But we've also been dealing with the iOS 15 rollout. And this is the first time I've ever really downloaded a beta beforehand and made sure that everything was working beforehand. So, which is great. It's I don't know if those of you guys who ever do that when there's a new OS version come out, are you one of the beta testers of it that you actually go through and check, make sure your apps work okay? Because for the most part, I've never done that. I've always just been like, if it breaks, then we'll deal with it as it comes. But as with my own applications, that's easy to do, but kind of checking other stuff with it too. So that's one of the big announcements this week. Also, we had the antitrust suit in California where a judge ruled that Apple has to ease the restrictions a little bit for app developers, which is good news. What else is happening this last week? I've been busy doing all kinds of stuff, but I'll be going on vacation later this week, which is going to be awesome. So everyone, just want to say thanks for joining the live stream this week. We might have a smaller crowd today than normal, but I don't know. Maybe we'll have a bigger crowd. Thanks for joining me on your Monday. So let's see. We got first of all, we got Celtic Whispers is here. Aloha, Eric. Just sneaking in. Are you just sneaking in? Just sneaking in while at work, but would love to hear your thoughts on the no-code software like Adalo. Is it a good fit for non-coders? Gracias. Okay, I don't know. I'm not familiar with Adalo, but I have looked a lot at no-code software. Going on the gaming side from, what's the one? The Pi? No, not. It's Appy Pie. All the desktop applications, Appy Pie, Good Barber, all that kind of stuff. The WYSIWYG editors where you can actually create your own application. And for the most part, I like that kind of stuff. I like those kind of tools, except for the fact that you don't have as much control over everything. You've got like different levels of software development where you've got like the native developers. Okay, I guess at the bottom you have the machine developers, but then you've got the people building on top of a framework, which would be the native developers for when we're talking about mobile. We're talking either Objective-C or Swift on one side, or we're talking about the Java or Kotlin on the other side, the native developers. And then you got the next level up, which is people building on top of a framework. And I always consider Xamarin to be part of that, a framework, even though it has a lot more ways to get into the main operating system. Like there's always like an equivalent, in most cases, always an equivalent to the OS APIs and Xamarin APIs. The syntax is a bit different using C# and stuff. So you've got that, or you've also got the platforms like the hybrid ones, which are web-based, like like Ionic and all that kind of stuff. And then you've got, if you go even, but you still have some level of control. But then you've got the WYSIWYG editors, so you can actually build your own applications like that. So it's Game Circle. That's what I'm thinking. Game Circle, is that what it's called? So you have that other level up there where you don't need to learn the lower level stuff. So every time you go up a little bit, it's like you don't have to spend so much time in the weeds and everything. And the whole operating system thing is like, I know there's people out there, the C++ developers, thinking like Java is for wusses and all this kind of stuff, which they have, they know how to use everything at the very low level. But the reason I shy away from those WYSIWYG editors and the no code editors is because not having the control over it, right? I'm thinking, you could, but I recommend it to clients from time to time because I think they're going to have, first of all, I hope you guys can hear me okay. Um, uh, Siren going on outside. So you have, um, like, when I have a client come to me and they say they want to do an app and they have something that's very simple in mind, or something that not even very simple, but just something that's very like common, like, I want to have an about page, I want to have a shop page, I want to have this kind of stuff, then I will recommend some of these WYSIWYG editors. Like, check out AppyPie. They've got these templates for everything. Check out Good Barber, check out whatever. Siberian was one that I was trying to use. I was trying to use Siberian with clients, and one of the things I found out with pretty much all these WYSIWYG editors is that even though they're kind of geared towards non-developers, you still need to have some technical ability to kind of use them. So, like, I thought I could just give, like, I tried, because I was thinking about using Good Barber as a reseller. Getting a reseller account, and that way, hey, I don't have to do anything. I could say, okay, well, we'll just make sure that everything runs okay, and if you have any problems, but you get to set up the app yourself. And then trying to show them how to use the interface for Good Barber was like, it was complicated. It still required a level of technical knowledge. So I think that going into it, it's like, if you're just getting involved and you need to get something on the App Store, I think it's good. But just understand that if you want to take full control over that, you're dealing on a lot of other people's code. Like, same with a framework. Like, you're basically building on a framework on a framework on a framework. And let's say your app is really successful and you want to do something that framework doesn't do, then you're kind of screwed because you didn't take the time to learn the language to begin with. But you were able to test the market, which I think it's like, which is more beneficial. Like, if you have a great app idea, do you go out and learn everything you need to learn so you can build it yourself? Or do you just try to get something out there? You can hire somebody, or you can use one of these WYSIWYG editors, and you can get something on the App Store and see if the idea works before you go whole hog into it and start building the thing yourself. So I think that makes a lot of sense. Let's see. Who else do we have here? We got Ravi's here. Yo, what's up? Thoughts on Apple in-app purchase lawsuit result? So I just did a video for tomorrow, which is going out. But yeah, so that's the big news from last week. And again, I finally got a video to put out during the week. And I knew I was going to talk about it on a live stream anyway. But yeah, that's big news. Right now they're saying that the judge says that Apple has 90 days to comply with allowing developers to put like alternative ways of actually making these purchases in there, which is kind of exciting. But I think also the article I read said that they may appeal it or try to get another judge to stop that ruling going forward until they could like regroup and appeal it to a higher court and all this kind of stuff. It's interesting though. It's like my first reaction to it is actually, and I talk about this in the video tomorrow. So if you watch the video I put out tomorrow, just act surprised. So my whole thing is, I think it's really good for developers that we have this big chunk of money that goes to them. So like, it's less of an incentive, but it's a bit like all taxes. Like the money has to go to them somehow, right? They're not just gonna let those profits go. Something's gonna give. Like I keep thinking, and it's same on the Google side, right? If they're gonna lose that revenue from in-app purchases because we're able to just take it and go somewhere else, then it makes it they have to gain that revenue back somewhere. Maybe they raise the app fees, maybe they charge per app to release applications or something like that. Lots of things which I'm kind of surprised they don't charge for, which they could. That those kind of things might go up. That's my personal opinion of it, but I'm interested to see how it will go because I'm of two minds about it. Part of it is like, I started with apps in 2012. I know other people started, back in 2008 when the App Store first opened, right? But I knew about the 30% going in, right? I knew that, going in, but it's the ease of the purchase which made it important. And I still kind of think about the ease of the in-app purchase, just having a button there that says buy, and they can buy it. And it used to be they just bought it right now, but now it's like, fingerprint scan, put your password in again, all this kind of stuff to protect the consumer, which is good, I suppose. But I always thought that taking them outside of the application to another website and having them actually key in their credit card details was a bigger, it's a bigger step for them to go over to actually make that purchase. I know, like, every time I have something where I have okay, go to a shopping cart, now put in your details, all this kind of stuff, then it's like I have a little bit of resistance to actually making that purchase. And sometimes I'll bail out at that stage, although it's getting easier and easier now. I don't know. What do you guys think about that? Because I've been thinking a lot about that. It's really thing. UK Bass, sup? Oh, do you have a picture on there now, UK Bass? Oh, you look good. Let's see. Patrick's here. Hey, Patrick, how's it going? Programming for everyone says, I am deciding. Okay, Eric, I'm deciding if I will get a job or invest 1 year of savings in an app startup. A, when do you decide you have an app startup? When you decide to have an app startup, how was it? Your feelings, fears, hopes, etc. Okay, so this is a good one because, I don't think it's all or nothing. I think you set up your apps, if you could get you get a job, right? I think it's that despite what your employers like to say, I've worked for people, they talked about, employee loyalty is like paramount and everything. And I've always been like you get a job and then you find a better job comes along and you go to the better job and then your skills go up and you become more valuable to the organization you work for, and ideally they notice that, or they appreciate that, and then they try to keep you with raises and everything. But you have a lot more, you have to show intent that you or be willing to leave to go to do something else, right? And that includes starting your own thing, right? So I think when I started, so I started my company in 2004, but it was and I say that as if boy, my company's been around for nearly 20 years. But when I set it up, it was I wanted to do client work. I wanted to have my own company, my own, my own entity, something that I could grow. And so I did all the things that everybody else does. I got the business cards and set up the website and paid for a little bit of advertising, all kinds of stuff. And I just waited for the clients to come in. And it didn't happen, right? It just didn't happen. And I did a little bit of cold calling, but then in the end, I took on a contract. Being a contractor is still being self-employed, but it wasn't what I wanted to be doing, right? It wasn't I wanted to have a bit more time freedom. As a contractor, I go work in somebody else's office for 3 or 6 months. And which was good. And you're well paid and all this kind of stuff. But one of the nice things about it is that there's an end date. As if you go and get a job, there's no end date, right? You're going into something and you're going to have a difficult conversation going forward. So one of the things you could think about programming for everyone is getting a contract for say 3 months or 6 months or whatever. I mean, even if it's a smaller contract, just something, because you're going to need the revenue coming in. I mean, and if you can get a contract in something that's related to what you're doing, you could still do those nights, the early morning. For me, it was early mornings and evenings, and weekends, working on what you actually, on creating your business and everything like that. You have the room to fail, as opposed to, dude, this is all or nothing. I'm gonna white knuckle it. And I'm gonna put all my savings into it, and I'm just gonna hope that it goes. Which I guess that sounds really cool. It sounds really you're being a man. You're going out there and you're going to do it. But it's scary, especially if you have kids, if you have a mortgage, if you have all that kind of stuff. Sometimes you just can't put your family through that. So you're going to have to do it. I started doing this thing where I was waking up at 4 o'clock in the morning. And then later I moved it to 4:30. But it was, I get up at 4 o'clock in the morning, get up all tired. And I was sleeping 4 hours a night, 4 or 5 hours a night. And every time I say that, somebody says, that's not really healthy. And it's true. It's not healthy. But, between 4 and 6 o'clock in the morning, or 7 o'clock, whichever, depends on how long I could push it before I'm I have to get to work. I have to get to my contract. That was the time when I'd work on my own stuff. And to be honest with you, the first 20, 30 minutes was make coffee, just sort of wake up a little bit, but then you get into the work and you get that uninterrupted time. I tried to do the opposite, where I worked at night on stuff. You guys can't hear me, right? I probably should check. And just make sure there's not all these messages saying, okay, Eric's talking. So like I used to try to do it at night, right? And being married with kids and everything like that, it was like when you come into bed, like are you gonna be up all night and everything like that? And it was just I would push it to like later and later and later. And when I started getting up in the morning, I had this deadline where like I had to get ready for work at 7 o'clock. So it was like my mornings were just busy. I would get up and I'm like, I had developers in India I was working with, and I'm like, okay, if you have a question, you need to ask me now, because when I'm on the contract site, I cannot work on I have to be focused on that. I cannot be like, sneaking away and having conversations with you guys. I have to be like focused on that one thing, right? So that was kind of a thing. Like, you have this time with me. We need to get this done. And sure enough, like at 10 o'clock in the morning, they'd be like, Eric, we can't figure out such and such. And it's like, well, you have to wait till tomorrow, right? It's just the way it is, right? So it was like it consolidated all that time into those 2 hours, and it felt like it was just the mornings were go, getting this stuff done, which required a lot of faith because, like I said, when you're doing an application or you're trying to set up a business, you don't know whether or not it will work. Now, when it comes to doing client stuff, that's when things like when finally started getting leads coming in and prospects and stuff like that, then it had to be having a conversation with the client I was, or with my the contract I was working with, saying, okay, you know what, I've got other work coming in. I'm going to need to reduce my days. I need to take some time off here or whatever to go to a meeting and stuff like that. And as long as everybody knows. Like, that's the thing between being a contractor and being an employee. An employee is like, they kind of expect they're going to keep you for a long time, because they're investing a lot of money in you. They're investing a lot like your benefits and all this kind of stuff. But as a contractor, it's assumed that you're temporary. It's assumed that you're just like there for whatever the duration is of the contract is, unless they decide to renew you. So I would go that way. To me, I think, but I wish I could say I white knuckled it, and I did for a while. Like, I'd have enough savings come up, and like I kept leaving contracts, and I would spend like a year or two working on my own business. But it's embarrassing really to think of how little I spent. I mean, how little effort I did on prospecting, and more just like stuff like that. So I don't know what the rest of you guys there think. I know I'm going on a rant already. Who's left? Is everybody left yet? Have you guys cleared out when I was talking about that? Rachel, hey, how's it going? Have you ever had a client whose app was rejected in either app stores and you couldn't resolve it? It scares me to take on projects when may or may not pass the stores. Yes, I have, and it's not good. You need to make sure that that's in your contract. I have that in my terms and conditions on my contract, that if it fails because of a bug, or then obviously that's on me. But if it fails because of the content itself, then there's nothing I could do about it. So it's not like, so that's why I say that this is down to you. So I had a client, we worked on this project. It was one of these ones where it should have lasted a couple months, and it lasted a lot longer. And when we finally went to go live, it was like it was rejected by Apple. And the client, I mean, sometimes he watches the live stream, so he might be out there. But it was really tough. So we tried to do all kinds of things. Eventually we ended up redoing it as a PWA. But it was like, that's the thing about the App Store and the Play Store, is you get the distribution, and the PWA is like, how do you get people into that? With ASO and SEO, you got to rely on advertising. So yeah, that was something that you have to make sure they know what that is, right? And I mean, as a developer, I try to know what the guidelines are, but some of the the guidelines for this one particular one was it was in they thought it was in bad taste or something. It was like a very vague rule, and so and I've had prospects recently who said, like, they're thinking about doing a dating app, and I'm like, well, Apple's not really putting out dating apps. They go, yeah, but they might do this one. I say, yeah, but the risk is on you. Like, you have to make sure they understand that. Used to be my payment was like I wouldn't pay until I wouldn't send my final invoice until after it went live on the App Store. But because of that, that's kind of one of those, right? I mean, why would they want to pay for something that never goes live? But it's I mean, that's a risk. You have to make sure everybody understands the risks of, this is, it's not my, and that goes back to doing the market research and like a question I get a lot is, do you think this app will work? Do you think anybody will buy this app? And my whole thing is, I don't know. Like I cannot, it's not my job to, I don't know who your user is. I don't know your industry. I don't know your, what you're trying to do. When it comes to this project, I'm the developer, right? I know the app stores. I know how to submit things. I know how to do the bit of ASO. But like when it comes to, is there an audience for your idea? Then that's down to you. And if it's in good taste, that's down to you too. There is a risk involved in that, Rachel. And yeah, you should be scared, but make sure they know what that is. Put that in your terms and conditions. That was one of the things that I made sure to put in, just because that scares me too. UK Baz says, have you seen any good indie apps you can share with us and why you think it's good? I haven't seen any. I haven't seen any recently. I guess I've been very concerned with my own applications recently. So I haven't really been looking too much on what else is out there. Do you guys have anything that you guys like? I wish I had a better answer for you, UK Baz. Theo Taylor in the house. Theo Taylor in the house. Matthew Creek says, do I need an iPhone to test in-app purchases on iOS? You don't. You used to, but I think now you have like a code. So on the Revenue Cat website, I read something about it. It's something that can't remember the name of the code, but there is a way to do it. However, I think you need to have a device to do testing anyway. Like you need to have, because I don't trust just setting an app out doing simulator testing only. I have to do some actual device testing. I can't tell you how often I've gotten crashes on physical devices where the simulator is just fine. Sometimes it's memory issues. Sometimes it's just something else, like something's missing on the device, but the simulator seems to handle it well. So you need to have test devices for that kind of stuff. And especially when it comes to the iOS side, they are expensive. So I've got this. I got an iPhone 11. I got an iPhone 8. I've got an old iPhone 5 around here sometimes. I got a couple of iPads, right? And the reason I went to using my iPhone as my day-to-day phone, even though I'm more of an Android fan, is because they cost so much. And I'm like, well, I might as well just use this as my day-to-day phone, right? And then, if I have a contract, then that would be the one that I bring in there. Because I've got my devices here. I've got a Nokia one, which cost me a Nokia. What is it? Nokia. Can't remember what it is, but it's like a pretty new one with. I needed an Android 10 capable phone, so this is my Android 10 capable phone. Although it cost me like 80 pounds. It's really laggy. I got a Pixel 3, which I picked up off of eBay for about 115 pounds, which is. It works well, but the battery always goes dead, so it's always plugged in. I got my Nexus 6P, which only upgrades to Android 8, which is good. And I've also got, what else I got over here? My Nexus 5. Yeah, I've got a Nexus 5, which is really old, and so. And I've got a few others around here somewhere, but these are kind of things you pick up. Like when my kids get new phones, I'm like, I'll buy their old phones off them and stuff like that. And also I'm always looking at the windows of like CEX and other places that sell used phones around here. Because, but it's kind of one of those things. It's hard. It's hard to have those test devices. Let's see. Theo Taylor says, no-code software could help a client prototype and learn what they really want. That I agree with. That and I had talking to somebody about that recently, a few weeks ago, and he was using one of the app builders, the no-code software to do it. And I was like, that sounds great, but he was like, he already wants to invest in like doing a new one, and I'm like, I think you need to get that one out there first, because I'm actually of the mind. Going back to what Rachel said, like sometimes like some of the app ideas that you hear are pretty big and they're going to cost a lot of money. And you're like, I don't want to be the guy who gets it all the way to the finish line and it doesn't go live, or it doesn't like it. Apple won't accept it, or there's no market for it, or something like that. So sometimes it's like, I will say, you should look at like some of these app builder software, because then you're talking about paying £20 a month, or getting somebody on Upwork or something to do whatever design for you. You're talking about paying $20 a month, and then you could test out the market, even if it doesn't do everything you want it to do, because you could always swap it out for the one you want. And that's one of the reasons about the app builder software, is you have to make sure that you can get that key store file. You have to make sure that they'll allow you to rewrite the thing in another language using the same key store file. And because there were some app builder softwares I was talking to earlier on when I was doing it, they were like, no, their key store file is their own. So you can ask that. We should all contribute and get someone to make an app on Fiverr, then share revenue ideas and such. Like build one and share information so we can learn from it. I always think I need to like do one. I keep, when people say you should do tutorials, and I'm thinking I could do a tutorial. Like I do so much client stuff, and I think, okay, at some point, like to do an app just to like take an application that I haven't released, and so I can just show the release process, because the release process is a thing that changes all the time. Sometimes it's easier to use Fastlane just to get it up there quickly, but then like all the stuff like now it used to be I was put stuff on Play Store like almost every single day, and like so I knew the whole thing, right? It was just like yes, no, yes, no violence, no, like you didn't even have to read everything because you knew what everything said. And now you got that checklist and everything, and it's just kind of, okay, what's this now? Okay, how do I choose the countries? Oh yeah, it's over there now. It's gonna, I'm still like, I'm still getting tripped up a little bit by it. Angelina says, hey Angelina, OutSystems is a low-code / no-code, which is horrible, plus super expensive license. I don't think it's worth it. It is just shifting the cost of paying license fees, and still have to pay for certified devs. Yeah. I mean, I think this is it. Like every single one of them that I looked at was like, I compare it to SharePoint. SharePoint was, well, you guys probably know what SharePoint is. I hate SharePoint. That's it. Like, you know what? If I die, I'm taking SharePoint with me. No, I was like, I had a contract where they decided they're going to go all SharePoint. So I was doing SharePoint development, and I hated that software. Every time I use anything that's SharePoint related, I just go, but one of the things that got me was that there were SharePoint developers that were developers, but they didn't know how to code. Like I was all like, how do I get the code up there? How do I get the config? Like how do I take this and migrate this from my dev machine to the production without having to go and install everything on it? I was like all this kind of stuff, and there were we were like, I was working this contract, and finally I got them to say, hire a SharePoint developer to work with me on this, because I do not want to work with this framework. I don't want to work with this software anymore. And so we're interviewing these SharePoint developers. They're like, some of them like didn't even know code. They just knew all the configuration because it's so complicated. Like, and that's what I think about the app developer software. It's like a lot of the app builder software is like, whereas I think stuff like WordPress is easier to do, but you still need to be somewhat technical to do it. A lot of the app builder software out there is like add a page and you have a link there, and when it gets to signing and certifications, that's like way off. So yeah, I agree with that. And sometimes it's just knowing, like every time you use like a framework, like even when I'm using Xamarin or Flutter or whatever, like I know there's going to be more documentation for native, right? But like the more obscure you go, like you run into issues. You're going to be like, like releasing something from Xcode is easy. I mean, it's not easy. It's stupid. Releasing something from Xcode. Actually, I'm saying it's easy just because I do it again and again. It's stupid. Like it doesn't say publish. It says archive. It says archive, and then it goes there, and then you upload it, and then you say what certificate it is, even though you sign it with a certificate. But you still have to select the certificate from a menu, and then you upload it, and then it goes all through the upload process, and then it says, oh no, you didn't increase the version number. So okay, let me go back through and increase the version number. Blah blah blah. Do the whole thing again, right? Build, archive. And it's just like, but it's everyone does that again and again. So I kind of know those steps. They don't make any sense. Nothing in Xcode makes sense to me. But let's see. Celtic, share your app. Patrick says, I think it makes sense for services like Netflix or games integrated with Steam to direct outside for payments. Yeah, I think so. Yeah, I don't know. Because I don't like when I talk to, I think any no, actually, you know what? I think any cross-platform application, it makes sense to go, because I have some of the client apps that I've done where they have subscriptions is like they've got iOS subscriptions and Android subscriptions, and if a user was ever to switch platforms, then they would have to go through and redo that. Like it doesn't I mean, I put stuff in the back end where they could like override it, which I don't even know if I'm allowed to do that. But it doesn't make sense if I have a cross-platform application which is available on Android and iPhone, and I have both devices. I make a purchase on this one, I should be able to have it show up on that one. And if that's going to be the case, then I probably want to take it to some central location and have them set up an account there. But yeah. Let's see. It's Celtic Whispers. Okay. Let's see. What's up status says, hey, how are you doing? Is that like a bot what's up status, or is that actually WhatsApp status? WhatsApp status. If you're a real person, I apologize, but you kind of look like a bot. So let me know. But I'm doing well. I am doing well. Okay, so Matthew says, let's see. How do you monetize a visual novel on mobile? A visual novel? Are you talking about like a interactive ebook type of thing? Because we've done that. What I would do is have the first few pages free, and then you get to like chapter 2 would be paid. I mean, that's, unless you go through the ads, but I think, I would think if you're going to do a visual novel, unless I'm misunderstanding what you're referring to, but yeah, I would think you make the first chapter free, and then the next chapter, like comic books. I mean, I've heard that comic books do this. Yeah, digital comic books do this, but the same way you would do it with any Kindle ebook. Mr. Noob. Hello, Mr. Noob. Hey, Eric, what are your thoughts on how users have changed over the years? I think that earlier users were more supportive in their app reviews. I don't. Yeah, I don't see how they. I think they're definitely more likely to make purchases now, whereas before it seemed like nobody would. Like it was just. But like we're so wary of ads and all this kind of stuff. I think users today are much more skeptical about permissions. Like it used to be like you just turn on. I had permissions turned on. I had like one of my apps I had a permission in there. I wasn't even using. I think it was location. I think it was like in one of my bubble bath games. I think it was like I was copying the code from somewhere, so I had the location permission in the manifest, and like I wasn't even using it. Like it wasn't, so it's good that the platforms are doing that, where you have to like actually request permissions to use things a bit more. I remember talking about like early days, and so I think just by doing that, it's like I think users are much more skeptical about giving you that kind of information. I've had stuff where I'm thinking, hey, this has like a calendar in it. It'd be kind of cool if they could just sync it up with their iOS calendar. But then like I don't want it to come up and say, this app wants access to your calendar. Right? So I'm like, maybe I won't go that way. And I think the reviews, I don't think they're getting more negative. I think that hasn't been my opinion. I think they're just kind of. I think you're more likely if you're going to get a review from someone, then it's going to be a bad review. Especially if somebody like if you don't have a way from in your application to go and leave a review, and there's all those APIs to do it now. If you don't have easy way for them to go do it, and somebody is motivated enough to go back and then leave a review on that, they're probably angry about something. So it's best just to have an easy way to get it. But like, what do the rest of you guys think? Christian Juarez says, is he even reading the chat? No, I'm not. Dude, I always read that. Like, I'm behind, all right? Let's see. Sorry, Christian. Nathish Kumar says, "Hi Eric, I developed an app for Android, which is What's Touch. Can you give suggestions of where to place ads for the highest earnings?" For the highest earnings, I would say do an interstitial application. I mean, we could have a look at the application, but I'm not gonna download it here. It's really difficult for me to show an Android device on the screen. I mean, it's just, I don't know why it's always been that way. But it's, when we're talking about the ad placement, interstitials are going to make a lot more money, and you have to think about how often can you how often can you display those ads. Ads just are generally getting less and less. They're making less revenue, I think, just going forward. My RPMs have been falling, but you could do you can even do the RPM floor where you have your own ads that show if you don't if it's less than a certain RPM value, then you might as well just show your own ad, and make sure that your ads are being shown in countries that are more popular. So Christian says, yes, he's getting questions from the chat, so that's cool. Yeah, dude, I'm with you, Christian. Dude, I'm not gonna let you down. I'm not gonna let you down. But thanks for showing up. Hey, Ren is the one who. Hey, Eric, I'm a newbie. Can you please share with me information about Swift versus Python? What do you prefer, Swift versus Python? Well, I prefer Swift. I don't think of Python as really as a development language, but yes, I appreciate that. Thank you very much. Let's see. MD says, Eric, are you excited about Android 12? Not so much. No, I'm more excited about. Well, actually, not excited about it. For me, I think every time I see a new platforms that come out, I think as a developer, what can I gain from it? And I think I've been watching a lot of. The last few years, this is not a good thing for me to say. It's not even a good thing for me to think. In fact, I shouldn't even tell you this. But I think I've been more in the last couple of years. I've been paying more attention to the iOS side of things than I have been to the Android side of things. And I think it's just because my day-to-day phone has been iOS. So every time I look at something that's because I'm more of a cross-platform developer, if something new is announced on one of the platforms, I want to make sure that it's available on both. So me personally, I don't really look to see what's new coming up in the new operating systems on either side, because I'm thinking what's going to be common between both of them. I get more excited if something new is announced and I could go through and say, okay, is there a Flutter library for this? Is there a Xamarin class for this? Is there some sort of, or even back in the Ionic days where I was doing, is there a Cordova library where I could use both of these at the same time? So yeah, I know I know a lot of you guys out there are just Android, and I think for me, I'm always thinking, when I'm looking at that, I'm always thinking what's available on both, because a lot of the times I don't do native platform for one platform only. I'm always trying to think, how can I do it on both of them? Kevin, hey, good evening. Okay, Christian says it's like 20% code and 80% general management and the distribution of the app. Are we talking about for the app stores? Yeah, this is one of the things when we talk about a lot of the times when we're doing the live stream, somebody say, can you have a look at my app? And I'll bring it up on the Play Store or the App Store or whatever, because I'm thinking more like getting people into it. But I don't like to actually install the applications, because it's when you get to that point, you kind of should know how to code it. It's kind of you have that application and you get it out there. But yeah, I find that too. Yeah, if you were to like I said, if somebody was to give you the source code for whatever, someone was able to give you the source code for Uber, right? And you could just haha, right? They marketed everything. They have brand recognition. They've pushed so far to make sure that you know who they are, as opposed to the functionalities of their apps. And as new developers coming in, a lot of times we think, if my app is better than theirs, then everybody will just magically come to mine, to my application. But that doesn't happen, because they don't even know you exist yet. Let's see. Matthew Creek says, what is Revenue Cat? Revenue Cat's I have a T-shirt from Revenue Cat. They sent me a T-shirt, and I was gonna wear it one of these live streams. It's basically a it's like a service that will take care of the subscriptions for you. So like what I found doing a cross-platform application in Flutter with subscriptions was that both of the platforms were so unique, and I couldn't find a good way to actually just have the subscriptions work without having to like build a whole backend server infrastructure. That Revenue Cat was able to do that, and they only take a cut if it's like over like 100,000 in revenue. Let me bring it up on the screen just so you guys can see that. This is not. Well, I guess it's not an. I don't have like affiliate links or anything, but it is something that I've used, and it's I think it's pretty cool. So Revenue Cat, they have a pretty good blog too, by the way. So here we go. So yeah, subscription management and mobile apps. So you can just like, they have the Flutter library, they have the native libraries. Wrong camera. Flutter library and the native libraries and everything, and it's I found it to be a lot easier. Once I started using this, it was like, okay, I get it. That way I could just have the cross-platform application. Now, because I have a dependency on like another framework, it's kind of like, oh, do I really want to go that way? Like, what if they fold or something? But so far, I've been pretty happy with them. So, and again, I'm not an affiliate of them or anything like that. It's just kind of something that I found that works pretty well for me. So, let's see. Patrick says, how annoying is it that you have to create a new build just to update the keywords in the App Store? It's very annoying. In fact, it's surprising that you still have to do that, or even just to change the screenshots, right? Like, why can't you just change the screenshots? Google Play lets you do it, and I kind of get. Okay, no, actually, no. I was gonna say I get that they have to review it. They have to review these changes. But you're right. If I change the screenshots, why do I need a new build? Like, why can't I just use the previous build? Like, I'm changed that. It makes it easier for the reviewers. They could just say, okay, oh, this is what's changed. Yeah, we're good with that. Or yeah, no, we're not good with that. Right? Just by doing a new build, which is exactly the same as a previous build, then they still have to go through and do all the testing themselves. Yeah, it's so stupid. What's up? Elbow cough. You are real. You are real. Sorry about that. What's up? Sorry about that. What's up, Cetis? I'm doing fine, thanks. Christian says, I thought it was just live and the comments were edited or something. Lol. That's so well made. No, yeah, we're live. The time right now is 17:43 England time. I should hold. Yeah, I was gonna do something. I was gonna say something that happened in the news today, but I haven't read the news. In your opinion, over the years since apps have been available, subscription apps are still popular, i.e., apps that you have to pay a monthly fee for. I get the impression a lot of people just want free apps. Dude, that's the way it always has been. People do just want free apps, and that's the reason why ad revenue has been so good for me, is because you have people, especially on the Android side. On the iOS side, you have a lot of people. They have their app store account set up and everything like that. They can make those easy purchases. But on the Android side, yeah, a lot of people, they just didn't even have their Play Store payment set up and everything. So that's the reason why ads work. But yeah, a lot of people do just want the free applications. This is a okay. I've been watching Apple TV a lot recently. Gosh, Apple fanboy. But there's a show on there called Trying, which is really good. There's like Ted Lasso, which I've been watching, and there's another one. There's one called Trying. It's about a couple who's trying to adopt. But there's like a woman on there. It's her wedding day, and they go, "Well, did you get a badge?" She goes, "No, we just use my phone." And they said, "Well, did you upgrade to the premium so there isn't ads?" And it says, "I'm not going to upgrade to premium just for one day." So like people dancing on the dance floor, and then there's like an ad that plays in the middle of it, and everyone stops. And I thought that was funny, because ads. That's one thing that ads do, is they ruin the experience to a certain extent. That, like, to me, I'm always thinking, I mean, I'm the type of person who will pay to remove the ads. I will have premium. I do have Spotify premium, and I have YouTube premium, and I have all this kind of stuff. Just the ads, they get to me. But I know a lot of people aren't in that situation. So, but I think we've always had that kind of economy. And even if you were able to come up with something that was like, it was so good that people would pay for it. I mean, someone could come out with something that's not as good and make it free, and it's still going to be difficult for you. But I don't think it's changed. I think it's pretty much the same. In fact, like I'm saying, Rachel, I think people are more willing to make payments than they were before. That's my experience. But like if yours is different, then I could be wrong. So Patrick says Python is not a great language for mobile development because there are no popular frameworks like I learned Flutter or React Native with JavaScript. Yeah, I agree. Like even like yeah. I mean, when I was doing Corona SDK, it was like I had to learn Lua, which I didn't really. I'm still not a big fan of Lua. I kind of wish I could just use JavaScript, which is I think why I was a big fan of Ionic in the early days. But I like when it comes to Python, like I don't even know because I don't want to say because there might be some framework out there that uses it, but I don't know anything about it. I don't know how popular it is. I'm like thinking, is there this whole alternate like app development group of people that are like, dude, we're just all Python. Like, who uses JavaScript for apps? Python. Like, there's no, so, that's the thing with the YouTube algorithm. There could be this whole other parallel dimension out there that, that they're not showing me. Community dude says, my dev apps, sorry. All right, punctuation. MDev apps, okay, I'm just gonna read it and then MDev apps, my problem is screen size. My app look bad, texts are so big or does not fit in some other phones. What should I do? And thanks. This is like a difficult thing. So like you could either make sure you're using device pixels. Like, it depends on what language it is and everything like that. So like I've had a similar thing where on Xamarin Forms where I was like I had that kind of thing where on older devices everything just skewed in like the font size, even though I was using I wasn't using pixels, I was using the whatever the device independent pixels, whatever, and I was still getting that issue. So basically had I started putting everything through this is like if you can't get it working in any way, sometimes you might just have to have a function that goes through and programmatically goes through and says height, width, what's the height, what's the width, based on that, what is my screen size going to be, and then you have that divisor going. Okay, every time you say if it's 15, then I have that thing saying it's 15 times 1.5 or whatever. But yeah, you have to test it on all the different sizes, and try to make it so like, even if you can't get it right, it doesn't look wrong. Meaning that even if you have something that's ugly, like let's say you have the title in the header bar, and it's just never fits, and you just make sure you have the ellipses at the end to show that there's something more to see. I hate seeing that, but at least it's better than just like at least it looks like it's intentional. But no, that's something I find so. Rachel says, do you find that the most successful apps you produce are the best designed ones, best marketed, or is it a bit of luck releasing the right app at the right time? I think it's a bit of luck, because like I said, we've done some that were like really well designed. Like I'm like, dude, this is the best. Like this is the best thing we've ever done. Like for me, it's like we did these games called it was a language flash quiz games, I think. And I was like, this is the best thing we've ever done. Like I was like saying like to Sandy, the designers, like, this is like quality, and like nothing, nobody, like it was just like nobody really found it. So it was almost like I spent too much time on the design side of things. I always say I think design is important, but you got that thing where you just like, dude, we just need to go live. We need to test now, right? We don't know until it's out there. So like, what can we do to get it out there in front of people? And if it's not perfect, it's not perfect, but then we could at least see if we're getting the hits. If nobody's even coming to us, then we know that there's a problem. If people are downloading it and leaving bad reviews, then we know that there's a problem. And you hopefully can address that problem before you have so many bad reviews you can't get yourself out of that hole. But yeah, and I find it to be a bit of luck. I mean, what do the rest of you guys think? Let's see. Theo Taylor said, the guys at Revenue Cat are lifesavers. StoreKit was a pain in the rear. Cool. Like, yeah, right? So I was looking at it thinking, So when I finally put subscriptions into an application, I thought it was going to be easy. I thought it'd be like every time, like I could just say, hey, they still subscribe? Okay, cool. Show them this, right? But it wasn't like that at all. They would like give me a date, or it's like I had to like manage everything myself. And the Android side was different. So it was like the revenue cap really did make it easier. And Chansa Musanda says, hi, Eric. Hey, Chansa. How's it going? Hey. Let's see. Mr. Noob says, what would you recommend to a fresh college graduate? Let's see. Sober up. No, I'm just kidding. Let's see. What would you recommend to fresh college graduate? App development, data science, or crypto, DeFi, D apps? Hang on. What is crypto? I know what crypto is. Are we talking about the cryptocurrency, or what is DeFi? Decentralized file. Oh, Ethereum. Okay. App development, data science, or I'll go data science. I think look at the market. There's a lot of app developers out there, and the more specific you could be with something, then the better. And when we talk about, if we're talking about looking for a job, then I would say data science, just because, like, to me, getting involved in, say, some of the investment banking fields or some of the financial areas would be really lucrative. If we're talking about like what would make you the most money, I don't know enough about crypto to even say anything. To me, I'm like still like, I haven't invested anything in crypto. It scares me how many things out there are, how many different crypto scams and stuff there are. Data science would be going out and being able to look at data and analyze data, be able to do stuff like machine learning algorithms, stuff like that, which would be incredibly useful. I mean, just getting more and more data and being able to analyze that stuff and get it to work is really good. App development, I think that's kind of related hand in hand. You can still do app development while you're studying something else for a job, but it's it depends on what you want to do too. Like, what interests you? Like, because you're going to be really good at what interests you. Dude, all right, Mr. Noob, I've told the story before. My degree was in history. I was going to be a history teacher, and that was my whole thing. In 1998, I graduated from university. I did 4 years in the Army. I did 4 years in university, and I graduated, and I came to England, and I couldn't get a job as a teacher. I wasn't qualified to teach over here. So I've aside from doing a little bit of substitute teaching in the States, I haven't really done any teaching. So I came out here and I, got a job in a factory, and I was working my way through it. And then I started, I started applying to lots of different things. I started teaching myself how to, how code worked and all that kind of stuff. And, I think it's, if you do something you like, if you do something that interests you, then you could be the best at it. If you're doing something for financial reasons, then you're trying to reverse engineer something that, excellence comes from. Excellence comes from the deep work. I was reading the book Deep Work by Cam. I forgot his name. You guys know Deep Work. It's like a really famous book. But being able to sit down and actually put the time in to actually learn how this stuff works. Like, if you're not interested in it, it's going to be hard. It's going to be a struggle. So, but let's see. Community Dude says, yeah, I try to make it look normal about the text sizes and multiple screens. I use Android Studio, Java. Android have a lot of screens. Oh my God. Yeah, they do. They do. But yeah, there's all the different emulators and stuff you can use. I mean, I don't really. Yeah, I mean, to me, I've got the devices here. When I really want to test out the low resolution stuff, I use the Nexus 6. I do have I have an even older phone than this, or the Nexus. This is a Nexus 5. It's old. This is an old phone. And I've got a few others around here. The thing is, like, now you have to focus on 64-bit, computing, either on the iOS side or the 64-bit. Was it 32-bit? Oh God, so like older phones, like you can't even release to the app stores with that stuff anymore. So, All right, so everybody, I think we're let's see. Okay, we got one more. Christian says, I forgot about Kotlin since making interfaces was too tedious and broken on Android Studio. Now I'm doing React Native, but I don't know if I could have given Kotlin. If I could have given Kotlin more time. I think just by doing a bit of Kotlin, it's going to be helpful for you, just because a lot of the times you might have to dip into some of those plugins and stuff just to see how they work. You're saying this, Christian, as if like you're only going to ever learn one language. And a lot of times you might be moving from one thing to the next. Like React Native tomorrow might be, not tomorrow, but whatever, a couple years from now might be Flutter, might be the next thing. It's constantly moving from thing to thing. I'm doing right now. Today I was working on Kotlin. I was doing some Kotlin stuff, and but like I was doing Objective-C last weekend, and it's and it's not strong, but it is kind of like, okay, I know how code works. I know how things are organized. I have the basic understanding, so I can still get things working. And but the languages I'm strongest in are the ones I could start something from scratch and just take off with. So okay, cool. So hey everybody, we're gonna call it there. That was the last question. We're gonna finish off this live stream. Hey, guess what? I'm going to Ireland this week. It's gonna be awesome. I'm going to go in a couple days, so I'm going to try to get a couple of videos done in Ireland. It's gonna be cool. And I got a video coming out tomorrow where I talk about the Epic and Apple stuff. Let's see. Just I'll do one more question. I want to use a mobile app to disable functionality of the power button, since my Honor 9 Lite mobile power button becomes so sensitive that it turns off with a gentle touch. I don't know if that's possible. The only way I can think of it, if it's an Android thing, you might be able to go into kiosk mode in order to do that, but then you kind of, that was like having full control over the device. Community Dude says, should I change to React Native or Flutter? I use Java Android Studio. What should I do next? Well, Java and Android Studio is like just an IDE. If you did Flutter, you'd still be doing it in that. I think you should do whichever you feel comfortable with, right? It depends on what you're trying to achieve. I like Flutter because it's cross-platform, and if you wanted to release it on iOS, you still could, but you need to get a test device. So no, please come on. Should I change to React Native or Flutter? I use Android Studio. What should I do next? Do the one that you like, right? If you feel you're really strong with Kotlin, if you're really strong with Java, then use Java. But if you're just starting off, I would go for me personally. I like Flutter. I do not like React Native. That's right. I said it. I said it to all you React Native developers out there. I'm not a fan. I'm not a fan of React Native. Every time I use it, I was like, at first I thought, oh, this is kind of cool, and then I'm like, dude, I'm like npm install, figure out everything that's missing, and like I'm not getting that with I mean, I get that to a certain extent with Flutter, where I do the package dot, or sorry, the package dot, is it the YAML file, when I'm updating the YAML file. And sometimes I get these, okay, this one's depending on this one, and this one's depending on this one. I get that from time to time, but not nearly as much as I get on Ionic and React Native and all those other ones. So that's just me. So anyway, everybody, hey, thanks for joining the live stream. We'll do it again. Let's do it next Monday. Hey, why not? We'll do the video coming out this week. I'll be in Ireland this week, and I'm going to try to get at least 1 or 2 videos done over there. And I hope you guys stay healthy, stay safe, and I'll talk to you guys again next Monday. Later. Later. That was cool, wasn't it? See ya.
Winterland, tell me all your secrets. Fill me in on your wildest moments. Color trees, your